When the guard's footsteps faded and silence returned to the corridor, Eli's breathing slowed. In his ears still echoed the rattle of the chain he had just heard. Curiosity took over. He carefully slipped toward the heavy metal doors he had seen before. The walls here were rough and cold, as if the past itself was locked inside them. Eli ran his fingers lightly across the steel, and suddenly the chain clattered again, this time louder, rhythmic, right behind the door. Startled, Eli jumped back. Panic flooded his chest. Cold sweat slid down his back. His legs moved on their own toward the stairs. Holding his breath, he rushed upward. Climbing, he remembered the note in the notebook about the fire in room 241 and decided to check it. On the second floor, Eli slipped into the room. The door closed quietly, and he froze. The place wasn't abandoned like the rest, but neat, as if someone had worked there just yesterday. A computer sat on the desk, a small sleep mode light blinking in the corner of the monitor. Along the wall, shelves of binders, each carefully labeled with dates. Beside them, a row of photo albums. One album lay open. Eli stepped closer and looked at the picture. Children in white lab coats, but not in a lab, in a colorful playroom. They looked cheerful, but their eyes were far too serious. Eli quickly pulled out his phone and snapped a picture. All this order felt wrong, as if it was still happening right now. Suddenly, a door slammed downstairs. Eli flinched. Seconds later came heavy steps. The guard was climbing up. "Cam," Eli whispered, and quickly shut the album. He slipped into the corridor, quietly pulled the door closed, and headed away from the stairwell. Each step faster, his breathing heavier, he kept glancing back, hoping not to see light behind him. Then his foot struck an old chair by the wall. It toppled, crashing hard against the wall. The sound rang down the corridor, like a warning bell announcing an intruder. "Who's there?" came a deep shout from below. Eli bolted forward. There was nowhere left to hide, only to run. Eli darted into an empty room. Sitting on the floor, he leaned against the door and pulled out the black notebook. On the page glowed a new entry. 242. The guard will open the door. You'll have one choice left. Jump or be caught. Seconds slipped away. Outside in the corridor came the jingle of keys, the snap of a lock. Eli looked at the window. Second floor, bushes below. He flung the window wide open.
"Hey! Who's in there?"
The guard's voice roared. Eli froze, standing on the sill. The door burst open. A beam of flashlight slashed the dark.
"Don't move!"
The guard barked, stepping inside. Eli's eyes filled with resolve, and he jumped. In the darkness, he slammed into the slope below the window, sliding through grass and gravel. Pain shot through his knees. His hands skidded, scraped raw and bleeding. For a moment, breathing was so hard it felt like he would suffocate. He tumbled until he finally stopped. Sharp pain choked him. His legs buckled, his arm burned, but luckily, nothing was broken. Cursing under his breath, he rose and limped into the nearest shadow. Above, the guard's voice still echoed, but Eli was already gone into the night. The dark alleys of the neighborhood swallowed him. From the bushes, Eli dragged out his hidden bike and began limping home slowly. Every step hurt. Blood from his knee stuck to the fabric of his jeans. His arm twitched at the slightest movement. He slipped through backyards, avoiding the glow of streetlights. At last, he reached his house, quietly unlocked the door, and climbing the stairs, he made sure not to creak a step. He slipped into his room, collapsed on the bed without even removing his shoes. Only after pulling out the black notebook did he open it, expecting nothing good. Blank pages. Eli flipped one after another, but all were just as empty. Not a single line. Maybe it left me? The thought stabbed his heart. His eyes closed on their own, and Eli fell asleep right there, in his clothes, shoes still on, clutching the pillow like a shield. Morning sunlight once again lit the whole room. Eli woke with a burning knee and a heavy head. Sitting up, he automatically grabbed his phone, opened the photo he had taken yesterday from the album. Those kids in white coats. That image wouldn't let him rest. Suddenly, a memory flashed. He had seen this before. Eli rushed to the shelf, pulled down a dusty family album, started flipping, and froze. There, his childhood picture. A little, wearing a robe, a number pinned to his chest. Eli instinctively covered his mouth, as if afraid his gasp would wake the whole house. His hands shook. In his mind spun chaotic questions. Had his parents really died? Was he adopted? Was his whole life just a cover?
At breakfast, the kitchen felt stifling. Mom stirred her coffee quietly. Dad sat with his newspaper. Eli laid the album open on the table.
Mom, where and when was this picture taken?
His mother's hand almost dropped the cup. Coffee splashed the tablecloth.
You were sick then. The doctors helped.
Her voice trembled. It sounded like a rehearsed line. Eli looked up. Mom swiftly changed the subject, talking about school, about groceries. Inside him, confusion only deepened. A knock rattled the door, loud, firm. Dad went to answer. Eli, halfway up the stairs, stopped and strained his ears. At the threshold stood a man. His voice was low, rough, the talk short, broken. Eli caught only scattered words. He was there. Would find out too soon. Wednesday is near. Though few, the words were so grave, Eli held his breath. He leaned closer over the railing. The man spoke to his parents like old acquaintances. The door shut. Silence. Eli stood frozen on the stairs, his head filled with questions he was afraid to ask out loud. He realized one thing. His parents and that man shared something. His world was starting to crumble. Who was he, really?